This story begins on a cold December evening, inside a grand military banquet hall filled with bright uniforms, polished metals, and the soft hum of important conversations. No one expected drama. No one expected trouble. And certainly, no one expected a poor single father to walk into that room holding the hand of his little girl, but what everyone expected didn't matter, because what happened next would reveal a truth powerful enough to stop a room full of soldiers, and melt even the hardest hearts. Before we begin, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel Kindness Lights, where we share real and heart-touching stories that remind the world that kindness always wins. Your support helps us keep spreading light, hope, and humanity. The night had begun like any other for Master Sergeant Emily Blake, daughter of a highly respected four-star general. She stood proudly near the front of the hall, greeting guests and helping her father host the annual Military Families Appreciation Dinner. It was a night meant to honor sacrifice and service. A night where families felt safe and valued, but halfway through the event, the energy in the room changed. Two security officers rushed toward the entrance, whispering urgently into their radios. Guests turned their heads. A few stepped aside. And then, a man appeared. A tired-looking single father in a worn suit jacket, holding the hand of a little girl wearing an old but carefully ironed blue dress. She looked scared. He looked even more scared. The father clutched a small invitation card, creased, slightly torn, and clearly handled many times. But security didn't seem to care. "Sir, you can't be in here," one officer said, blocking his way. "This event is for registered military families only." I know," the man stammered. "We were invited. Please. My name is Daniel. My daughter Ellie, she's been looking forward to this all month." The girl squeezed her father's hand even tighter, her small voice trembling. "Daddy, are we in trouble?" Daniel lowered himself to her level. "No, sweetie. Everything's okay," but to everyone watching, it didn't look okay at all. A second officer grabbed Daniel's arm, not harshly, but firmly enough to scare the child. "Sir, I'm going to have to escort you out. You need to leave now." Daniel's face turned pale. "Please. At least let me explain. This night means everything to my daughter." The room had gone silent. Guests whispered. A few shook their heads. Others looked away, pretending not to notice, but one person noticed. Emily Blake watched the entire scene unfold from across the hall. Something about the man's voice, the fear in the little girl's eyes, the desperation he tried so hard to hide. Something inside her pulled her forward. She stepped toward the commotion. "Hold on," Emily said, raising her hand. "Stop. Don't escort him out." Security froze instantly. Everyone knew who she was. Emily walked up to the frightened father and knelt beside the little girl. "Hey," she said softly. "What's your name?" The girl sniffled. "Ellie." "Well, Ellie, it's very nice to meet you." Emily turned to Daniel. "Can I see your invitation?" Daniel hesitated, embarrassed, but handed it over. Emily unfolded the card. Her eyes widened. "This," she murmured. "This was signed by my father." The officers blinked, confused. Daniel looked shocked. Emily looked straight at her father across the room. "Dad," she called out. The general stepped forward. Tall. Commanding. The kind of man who could silence a room just by walking through it. "Emily," he said. "What's happening?" Emily held up the card. "Did you invite a man named Daniel and his daughter to tonight's event?" The general studied the pair, the small girl hiding behind her father's leg, the dad trying his best not to look ashamed. Then recognition flickered across the general's face. "Yes," he said firmly. "I did." He walked toward Daniel, and the room held its breath. "Daniel," the general said, shaking his hand, "I owe you more than you know." Daniel swallowed hard. "Sir. I didn't think you'd remember me." The general placed a hand on his shoulder. "How could I forget the man who saved my unit?" Gasps echoed around the hall. Emily stared at her father. "Wait. This is the Daniel you told me about? The civilian who risked his life during that wildfire evacuation years ago?" The general nodded. He guided our convoy when we were trapped. He put himself in danger to save us. But after the fire destroyed his home, we lost contact. Emily looked at Daniel with awe. You never told anyone? Daniel shrugged softly. Wasn't anything special. I just did what felt right. The general turned to security. He is our honored guest. Not only welcome, but celebrated. The officers immediately stepped back, apologizing. Daniel shook his head. It's all right. You didn't know. Emily knelt beside Ellie again. Would you like to sit with us tonight? Ellie nodded shyly, and so, the general personally escorted Daniel and Ellie to the head table. For the rest of the night, people came up to thank him. Soldiers saluted him. Families hugged him. And Ellie's little face lit up with pride every single time someone said her daddy was a hero. But the most beautiful moment came at the very end. When the dinner ended and guests began leaving, Daniel approached Emily. Thank you, he said quietly. If you hadn't stepped in, my daughter would have cried all night. She's been through a lot. We both have. Emily smiled gently. All I did was speak the truth. You did the hard part years ago. Daniel shook his head. No. Tonight, you reminded me that kindness still exists. Emily looked down at Ellie, who was now holding her hand comfortably. Kindness always exists, she said. Sometimes it just needs someone brave enough to show it. And that is the heart of this story. One act of courage, one voice willing to speak up, can change the direction of someone's entire life.